All right, hello everyone. This is once again Mike Cieslak. I am Director of Sales here at Recursive Labs. I'd like to thank you for joining our webinar presentation today. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Your phones have automatically been placed on mute to drown out any background or excess noise. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them through the chat window at the bottom of the screen, and we will be addressing questions at the end of the presentation. This time, I'd like to go ahead and turn this over to Andrew Harmon.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate you all taking some time out of your afternoon to hear what we have to discuss. As mentioned, I am Andrew. I'm going to be providing some brief context to some of the strategies we'll talk about today. And then I will hand things over to Bud, who will have a little more action on your screen. So without further ado, go ahead and start with a story about our friend here, James. Now, James is the field service coordinator for his company. And one morning when he is pouring his first coffee, he gets an urgent message from his team. You see, one of their biggest customers is the Chicago Cubs. And they got an emergency work ticket in that morning that there is no wireless internet throughout the entire stadium. And that's a big problem because the Cubs have a home game that same evening, and they are going to need to get their connection back in order to not only stream the game online, but provide Wi-Fi for the fans in the stands. The biggest issue we face here is that Wrigley Field is in Chicago, and James and his entire team of experts are based on the West Coast. But there's also additional factors complicating the matter. We know we will be troubleshooting a complex issue that might be the result of half a dozen different things, from faulty equipment to loose wiring to a software error. And we also know that time is of the essence because come rain or shine or internet problems, the Cubs are still playing their game in just a few hours' time, which means if we have to fly out and do an on-site visit, it is going to require same-day air travel, which is very costly. And depending on how long this issue takes to fix, we might be looking at hotel costs, per diem costs, rental cars, etc. And since James works for a progressive company that cares about the environmental impact of their operations, they find it a bit wasteful to fly one person across the whole country, the entire country, adding to their carbon footprint just to solve a problem they might be able to solve remotely. Now, we love our on-site contacts. They're at Wrigley and they are great at their job, but they are not experts in our particular product or service. And they are a VIP account. So not only do we need to fix their internet, we want to deliver a superb customer experience along the way. So James looks at the options he has available to him. Now, of course, we have the standard email-based support, which includes a lot of back and forth, and any visual support is going to come in the form of taking pictures, uploading them, attaching them, sending them back and forth, and explaining what they're seeing in front of them is going to require both James and his contact there at Wrigley to sit and type out a small novel by the end of the day. So let's take that option off the board. Now, we also have access to simple phone-based support, which does solve some of our problems by unlocking that real-time communication through simple verbal stream. And we are providing a slightly better customer experience in this way. But again, we are still blindly troubleshooting, and any videos or images we take along the way are going to have to be emailed back and forth. And the customer at the Wrigley side of this conversation is going to be standing in a room full of blinking lights and wires and ports, and it's going to be difficult to relay exactly which of these blinking lights and ports we want him to pay attention to. So let's take that option off the board. As we mentioned, the on-site visit is possible and would certainly solve all of their problems, but this is going to be expensive. We're in a bit of a time crunch. And since we don't know how to troubleshoot this problem before leaving, we don't know if we need to bring any special tools or parts along with us. So let's not start there either. Now, luckily, James works for a forward-thinking and tech-savvy company that is invested in this mobile video streaming technology, which some of you might more commonly recognize as I see what you see technology. And the gist of this is that the frontline workers at Wrigley with a mobile phone in their pocket will be able to stream through their mobile video, showing James on his desktop exactly what they are seeing. And this does solve 95% of our problems. Are we now able to easily talk in real time? Yes, we've got a audio stream working right through our cell phone and desktop platform. And we don't have to send any images back and forth because we have a live video stream as well. So that visual support is built right in. And as far as seeing what is in front of the customer, they will be holding a mobile phone on their end. So if they need to get closer to zoom in or move around the room to provide different perspectives, or even carry James to a different part of the facilities, whatever they need to do, they are very mobile and they are able to show them exactly what and where James needs to see. And of course, since this is a mobile stream, not only is James adding his voice, but now a friendly face to the brand as well, adding to that all-important customer experience and brand loyalty. But what if we could take this one step further and make it just that much easier for James and his team by taking this I see what you see technology and adding a layer of mixed reality over top? This is going to allow James to do a few things, such as reaching right into the customer's screen, and his hand will appear as a digital overlay on the stream that they share. So he can point to specific parts or ports and physically relay the instructions that need to be done to those parts. He will also be able to draw or write right in the video stream using a simple whiteboard and dry erase marker setup, and you can kind of see a sample of that in the images to the right. Now, if they want to wrap up the call by going back to that face-to-face chat and having that last bit of good customer experience before signing off, they can very easily toggle this mixed reality back on and off throughout the conversation. Now, being able to see directly what is in front of the customer and relay exactly what he wants that customer to do, James is able to get the Wi-Fi back up and running at Wrigley. James also gets to appear like a customer service superhero by getting one of his VIP accounts back up and running within just a few minutes. And of course, the Cubs get to fly the W at the end of the day. Now, any story that ends with a Cubs victory sounds a little far-fetched, perhaps, but as is the theme with our technology, hearing about it is one thing and seeing is believing. So I'm going to hand things over to Bud now, who will actually show what this exact story might look like in practice.
All right, folks. Well, yeah, being a lifelong Cardinals fan, I think the Cubs W is tough to swallow, but so is the Cardinal season this year. But let me dive in here and kind of get started and take this down to another level, because on our side, what we want to make sure is that when you're interfacing with your customer in the field, that what we're giving you is simple, it works, it's rock solid. And kind of working off this quote from Da Vinci, simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. And we want to make sure that we are giving you something to work with your customers that is simple, easy to use, very simple, but not simplistic. We want to make sure that it's one-click simple all the way around. And as part of what we do here, we're able to get you up, running, installed, and using this technology very, very quickly. Across the Recursive patch here, we've got a number of different capabilities, and we're going to focus today on the live stream camera sharing, that see what you see kind of capability that Andrew highlighted in his opener, and give you an idea as to exactly how that works and what's possible. Because what we want you to be able to do are leverage those smartphones that you've got in the field. We want you to be able, as some of our customers have done, literally take millions of dollars per year out of the cost of doing business on your side, avoid those unnecessary truck rolls, make sure that when you do roll a truck, that you've got the right people, the right parts, because you understand what's going out and what's happening. And in order to leverage those, we want to make sure that there are no applications that need to be installed. Nothing is ever needed to be downloaded. And with just one tap, you see exactly what they're seeing. And as an extension to that now, and what we're going to focus on today, is the addition of the mixed reality capabilities to that, to allow you to literally reach in and take this experience to the next level. So I'm going to drop out of PowerPoint now, and we're going to go ahead and begin to focus here on exactly where we need to be with our existing technology. And let me pull that in and up. And now, as you see on my screen, you're going to see my mobile. Okay, so this is my mobile phone, live mobile. All right, and we're going to also bring in our interface here on the agent side. So the customer will play the role of the customer on the mobile, and we're going to bring in the agent interface here now. And we can run in several different ways, shapes, and forms. Okay, in this particular situation, I could run standalone. I could run embedded inside of something like, in this case, Salesforce.com, but we can also run embedded in Zendesk, Microsoft Dynamics. We can run as a connector through Five9. We have a number of different ways, again, that we can interact and drive the experience from there. Or if you need to build a custom experience, we can actually allow you to take that same widget and embed directly inside the experience that you've created. So again, totally up to you. And the great thing about this is you can use any one of them, or you can use all of them in parallel. So for example, if you're working with our great friends from Five9 and you're running on the contact center side and you have folks outside the contact center, you can still go ahead and run standalone out there. So it's, again, any different permutation set, mix and match. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to do a really easy one first. And in terms of troubleshooting the internet problem for a customer that's called in, what we can do is I'm just going to go ahead and enter the customer's phone number. Now, there's usually a default setup so that all you need to do is enter that number and go ahead and send the text. All right, now you're going to see the text in a second pop in here on my phone. And what you'll notice a couple of things. One, this link, which we're going to want the customer to tap on, is simply a one-time only use link. Nobody else can get into the session. Once the link has been burned, it's done. The second thing you'll see here is this message, in this case to video chat with a senior technician, that can be replaced dynamically, or it can be whatever you want your standardized message to be. Now, if I go back over here to the agent side of the equation, I know that it's been delivered. All right, I can guide the customer to tap on the link that ends in 5 capital DIFN. And if for some reason they say, oh, wait a minute, I didn't get that. All right, you can confirm the phone number. Either way, to set off the session, it's as easy as, let's start here with the customer tapping that link. Now, the first time they do it, they'll be asked to allow access to the camera, because we're going to observe all of the mobile device security that's in play and in place, right? With whether that's Android or iOS, we're going to respect that security. We work in both modes. Now, the first thing you'll see here is I've got a set across the bottom as the agent. And if I want, I can flip in here locally, and I can go ahead and talk directly to the customer and let them see me and interact that way. All right, it's Tuesday and I won't be any better looking by Friday. So, that may or may not be the way you want to drive this. The other thing you'll see here is when they have a multi-camera smartphone, you'll be able to actually drive the camera we're using directly from the agent interface. So I'm going to go ahead here and let's see if I can zoom in one better. And in this case, I can. And we're going to go ahead and use that. And now I have the ability not only to see live, to see what the customer has, to help guide them in what they're doing, right? I can also now take that, let's take that real quickly to the next level and go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and flip back here. And with just something as simple as a document camera sitting next to my desk, an off-the-shelf camera, I can actually now go in and go ahead and now literally reach right in and say, okay, let's make sure, look down here, make sure the power light is on. I can come up here and say, okay, let's watch for this interchange. If I needed to, I can take things, this little extreme for it, but if it's a more complicated problem or it's a building job site, construction site, I can actually insert tools into the equation, do whatever I need. If I have a pointer that I want to lay in, I can do that and move to, helping them guide with what they're wanting to do. Or I can even go as far as in a live interface, I can come in and say, okay, I need you to watch. Tell me when these lights up here are flashing. All right. Or I can go in here and literally draw around the whole thing and say, I want you to pay attention here. Let's come in from here. All right. However, you need to, make sure that CTS is flashing, whatever you want to go ahead and write. You can literally draw if you have technicians that are not comfortable per se with doing the standard annotation palette. But again, you can guide them if you're looking at how do I turn the machine on, what do I need to do here? I can come in here and say, okay, I want you to work right here. Now, come on, we'll pay attention and let's press this button first, right? And take them literally through that process, okay? And be able to guide them in through the repair in whatever means you need. And when you're done, you simply let the customer roll, let them hit end, and away you go. And so again, creating a very, very simple, very easy to use environment for the customer. And we've come back up here, and I apologize, I'm not the world's best navigator in Salesforce.com. But as we come in, you'll see we're going to go ahead and generate a native activity inside of Salesforce. So if you're using one of our connectors, you're actually able to get in and to drive in and to do any level of reporting in terms of first call close rate, average handle time when you use this technology, and basically and see who's using it, do time and motion studies, whatever you need to do here, because we're going to give you all of that data set up and ready to go ahead and ready to use with the activities that we're generating. And when you come in, you're able to go ahead and get any of the detailed data that's associated with a call. All right. And include up to and including, we didn't take any on that side, but we could also take snapshots and load images directly into the interface and load them directly onto the case. And where we need to, we can actually go ahead and we have MP4 recordings that can be captured. There's an option to do that on our side and allow you for training or for informational purposes to go ahead and have that video there. And it can even be downloadable if you need to maybe send it out to one of the technicians who's had it on site. So now let's dive in maybe a layer deeper. All right. So now if I'm coming back here and I want to go ahead and maybe I'm our good friends at Logitech and I've got someone who has a question on how to use one of the new mice that they sell. So I've got some different options I could go in, but I'm going to click over here on our send SMS, and I could go ahead and literally put my number in like I did before. All right, and send it if I want, but I could also change the interface up if I needed to. All right, so I have the ability to do one-way or two-way video. I need the two-way to do the hands in, but if I wanted to, I could isolate down and simply have a large screen view of what's happening on the other side. Okay. And if I needed to, in some cases, let's say you're in an industrial setting where you've got maybe a boiler that's downstairs and someone on the janitorial staff has asked the front office to go ahead and call you and get the problem to the gentleman downstairs. Well, if I need to, I can send that text to the gentleman on the janitorial staff and actually include voice in the equation so that I can have a full conversation while we're doing the repair. So if he's not at his desk, if he's not able to take that, we can actually go ahead and I don't need to call separately. I can actually include audio in this channel, or I can call separately. Totally up to you as to how you want to do it. And if I'd like, I can also overwrite my default messaging. All right. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and again, send the invitation. All right. And there you see that it's going to pop up. Now I've got my one-time only use link. And again, I'm going to go ahead and touch this. And I'm going to go ahead and again, join the session here. And so as we kind of roll in here, I'm going to come back. And again, I'm going to zoom down one level and go to that next camera and say, okay, now I've got a couple of other options that I can employ. Maybe I don't need to go fully on into the mixed reality. And he just wants to know, in this case, which of these buttons do I need to configure to do the scrolling? How does that work? And if I want, I can actually pause and hold the interface here and go ahead and use literally our annotation palette, which I can do free form. I can change my color selection if I want. So let's pick something red that's going to show up here. And I can say, okay, the one you need to focus on is the second one here. All right. And you can actually literally drop that in. If I wanted to here again, as I'm kind of drawing in, I could go ahead and snapshot and park that directly inside of Salesforce. But here, as you can see on the mobile, when I'm doing these annotations, I'm actually drawing live. So I have the option to use an annotation palette if I want, or I can always come back here. And as we did before, I can literally drop hands in and say, okay, I need you to focus on this one right here. And you should be able to turn the mouse here with your thumb, wheel through it, and do whatever you need in order to go ahead and make that work and guide the customer wherever they need to be. If you were back into something, let's say like setting up and plugging in, again, you can have from the help desk, the support desk side, you can have various props that you can use that you could pull in and bring in and help do the actual implementation and go ahead and guide the customer again through exactly how to configure, how to set things up, how to move, and how to interact with the products, and do it all in a way that has been proven to be one-click simple, very easy to use, and able to bring that customer that first call close just as rapidly as you possibly can. Avoid rolling the truck, or when you do, be able to make sure that you are sending folks with the right tools or into a situation where they've already got what they need and they're pre-briefed. On the customer side, you'll see this is very simple. They can end again at any time. And we want to keep that because they may never have used this before. And we want to keep it as simple as we possibly can. And so again, we can go ahead and whenever they're done, they simply can go ahead and take a very quick, very easy touch on the end button, and away we go. If we were inside of Salesforce, we're going to have recorded that. We're going to have recorded that call, generated a reportable event, and be able to, again, drive and take that just as simply as we possibly can. And again, that could have been launched from our direct interface. So you could have gone native. You could have used Salesforce like I did in the example, whichever is in your configuration. And again, you never have to install anything on the mobile device. You don't need to worry about what you're doing in terms of downloads ever. And you want to make that as simple as you possibly can for the customer. Again, trying to make it simple and easy. And now we're going to talk about what is it that we actually need to go ahead and really make this happen. And as you can see, I've got a simple, basically $100 worth of kit that you're able to buy off of Amazon.com and a whiteboard sitting underneath it. And you're able to just set this up, install it very simply in either a Mac or a Windows environment, and then whatever appropriate props or tools that you need, whether that's markers, whether you're working with electrical tools, whether you're working with engines or under the hood, like our friends at Volvo do. And it's all based on whatever you need on your business side in order to make that happen. From an implementation standpoint, this is designed to be very quick, very easy, very simple training, and your time to value is very, very rapid. We can get you up and running on this in a very, very short time. And we're able to do this not only in the US, but in Europe and even in Asia if you need to. And again, our goal is to make this as simple as we possibly can and to make this an effective tool for you in your environment. All that having been said, Mike, I'm going to turn that back over to you. And do we have any questions folks would like to know?
Yeah, thanks, Bud. Appreciate it. Yeah, we do actually have a couple of questions here, so I'll go ahead and read them off. You can address them. First question coming in says, for me to be able to put my hands in the screen, is all of the equipment needed provided for me, or do I need to purchase anything?
Yeah, the net is we'll guide you on where to purchase the cameras, and the ones that we have tested with. And again, the one that we prefer is an IP Evo 4K from Amazon. You can get it through Amazon. You can get it from IP Evo or other places as well. But it's a $99 camera, and it's easily and directly available. We don't add any value to the camera. We're not going to add any cost to you. So wherever you can get that camera from quickly, cheaply, and easily, we'll help you do that.
All right. Next question here says, can I actually send that text message and see what my customer is seeing without putting my hands in the screen?
Absolutely, you can. You know, it's as easy as just send a text and have them touch a link. Whether or not you do the hands in is totally up to you. In fact, that is an option. It's not a requirement. You can purchase our Relate SMS product without the hands-in capability if that's not required in your environment.
All right, and just a couple more. Next question says, what does my customer have to download in order for this to work on their end?
Your customer has to download absolutely nothing, right? That's our goal, is we want to be that one clicker in the mobile world, one tap simple. And so there's never anything that we're going to ask you to download or have your customer install. The last thing we want to do is run the risk of creating any further complications with a customer who may already be frustrated. So we want it to be very simple. Now, the first time you use it with a customer, you may need to have them go ahead and say yes to allow you to have access to their camera, because that is simply respecting the security controls that are in place in the industry. But other than that, there is nothing to download or install, ever.
All right, and the last question here is, how is the product priced?
And the product is priced on a per user, per seat, per month kind of a basis, all right, based on the number of agents that you have. We don't charge per use, okay? If you store videos, if you can upgrade, I think there is an optional recording piece. I showed you the recordings plugged in Salesforce, and so you can use it straight up for a simple fee on its standalone basis. If you need, you can also get the connectors from us, get the recording capability from us. And again, there's no charge per use. And if you do store the recordings, we give you unlimited storage on those recordings in an environment outside of things like Salesforce or Dynamics, so you're not incurring their storage charges. And there's no limit for what you're storing or how long you store it.
All right, well, thank you, Bud. That does it for the questions today. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Hopefully we didn't take up too much of your day. As always, if you have any additional questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to us directly. We're more than happy to have a conversation with you and answer any questions that may arise. Thank you again, and have a great day.